What's happening, everybody? I am Josh Hine, and this is the Pitchless Selling Podcast. It's the podcast where we talk about sales skills, business, and a little bit of personal motivation mixed in. We're on a mission to change people's lives personally and professionally, and I am thrilled to have you here today. Thank you so much, whether you're watching this podcast online or you're listening to it. Either way, I'm so glad you found it, and thank you so much for being here. I'm fired up to have the opportunity to talk about today's podcast episode. It's going to be a good one. It's something that I think is a pretty big misconception, actually, in the sales space, in the sales world. And frankly, it's something I wish I would have learned when I was younger, first starting out in sales. So, first things first, the topic today's podcast episode is about sales is a numbers game. Okay. Who's heard that one before? You probably heard it. You probably said it. Heck, look, I've heard it. Yeah, I've said it. Right? I am, I for a very long time, I was a big sales is a numbers game guy. And, a few things have dawned on me. I've realized a few things as I've gone through and worked different sales jobs, and sales had different sales roles, different companies, and selling different things. I've realized that success in sales is far more than just a numbers game. Sales is not a numbers game. Well, that's not quite true either. Sales is definitely a numbers game. Sales is a numbers game, but it is also a skills game, okay? So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk a little bit about sales is a numbers game, but it's also a skills game. What can you do about it? Why do you care? Why does it matter to you? That's what I'm going to talk to you about today. So first, let me start with a story. I have loved sales ever since I was young. I've sort of, I don't know what it was about it early on for me. In fact, there were certain times in my life where I sort of fought it. People told me, I had people ask me like, "Oh, Josh, what are you going to do? Are you going to be in sales or something like that?" And I was like, no, probably not. I probably won't be in sales, but something in business. And, turns out, it was always sales, and, I loved it. And so, really from a young age I won I think my first taste was I earned a college scholarship, for being the top seller of the football fundraising cards. They're like they look like little credit cards, and the high school football team, we'd go around and, you'd sell as many as you could to, as a fundraiser for the team. And, most guys would just send a little sign-up sheet or the pack of cards in with their parents to work. And, we had minimum number of cards we were supposed to sell. I don't know what it was, 10 or 20 or something. We had to sell, everybody had to sell 10 cards, or everyone had to sell 20 cards, something like that. I don't know. I saw it a little bit different. I saw it as an opportunity, and especially once I found out that you could earn a college scholarship by selling the most fundraising cards. Like, okay. These cards were super. I thought it's like, that's a pretty reasonable price for all the discounts that are on these things. And so I saw an opportunity, and I just literally jumped on the bike. And after practice, on the weekends, whatever, and I went around just door to door, knocking on every door I could in all the neighborhoods around the area, selling as many of these dang fundraising cards as I could. And, turns out I was the number one seller of football fundraising cards in the entire nation, and boom. Got my scholarship. So it was then that I realized, okay, I like this sales thing now. This is pretty cool. It's something I enjoy, something I'm good at. But again, what I realize now is it was different for me. It wasn't just because I was like good at it. It wasn't like I was a expert salesperson or born to sell. People try to tell me that, oh, you're a born salesperson, right? You were born to sell. Well, I just don't believe that. Sure, I might naturally have some specific skills that lend themselves better to the sales profession or to being a salesperson. But the fact of the matter is, it's not just you're born to be in sales or you're born a salesperson. No. The fact is, I realized without knowing it, I was doing the numbers. It was a numbers game for me. I didn't just send the cards in, right? The fundraising card. I didn't just send them in with my parents so I could get people to sign up or, hit my minimums. No, I went out and I grinded. I knocked it on every door. The people who didn't answer, guess what? I went back later and knocked on their door again, right? I knew I had gone too far because I ended up getting too close to our crosstown rivals, and one of the ladies answered the door, and she was pretty upset with me because apparently her son played for our rival. Who'd have thunk? So that's how I knew I had gone too far away from home selling the cards. So the point is, at that age, that was probably, I was just, look, let me knock on as many doors as I can. Let me knock on as many doors as I can. I'm going to sell as many of these cards as I can. And look, it's not like I had devoted a bunch of time to developing sales skills. So it very much was a numbers game for me at that time. Imagine if I would have actually had some like trained sales skills, or if I would have, focused some time and devoted some time to actually learn how to sell properly, or, how to sell. Results would have been crazy, right? So, a silly little example there and little story there, but that for me, that's when it really started with sales. And again, it wasn't because I was just naturally gifted. I was just willing to work. And so I think, the whole concept of sales is a numbers game, it works for a few reasons, right? It works early in sales, like when someone's just starting out and they don't have a lot of sales skills, right? They haven't really developed the skills to succeed at a high level, or to have some of that high-end success, to be a top 1% performer or 1% earner, right? I mean, to do that takes a lot of skill development, hours, time, right? The early you are in your sales career, the less experience you have, and the more you're going to have to rely on just your natural sort of communication skills and gifts and abilities. And at that point, it really is a numbers game, right? You've got to get through as many opportunities as you can. The problem I have, and this is what really grinds my gears, is the concept around you have to get your no's in order to get your yeses, right? You have to get the no's out of the way so you can get your yeses. See, this is the other part of the numbers game thing that I think is it's BS. And I think the reason that people say that is they're trying to cope with people stinking at sales, or people not yet realizing their true potential in sales, right? If someone's just not very good and they're not having a lot of success, like, I get it. It takes time, and you want to help someone, you want to help them learn, you want to help them grow. That's great. I'm all for that. I'm all for that. That's literally what I do, right? I want to help people get better. And so I think it's a whole lot easier to say when someone's struggling or someone's not doing very well, it's a whole lot easier to say, that's all right. Hey, there we go, baby. There we go. You got another no. That's one more no closer to a yes, right? You're going to get a yes soon. Just, keep getting those no's. You'll be okay. You'll get there. And so, look, I joke about that a little bit, but there is some truth to that, right? I mean, I'm a big fan of knowing your metrics. I actually do a part of our training program, the Pitch Selling Training Program. We do talk about knowing your numbers and knowing your metrics, and the importance of knowing your numbers and how to make those numbers work for you. But and actually, there's a podcast coming up about that as well. So look out for that. Another Pitchless Selling podcast about knowing your numbers. So I think there is some truth to, look, the numbers, your sales numbers, your sales metrics will show you that you do get a certain number of no's before you get a yes, right? Unless you're closing at 100%, which, I haven't ever seen. I guess I'm not saying it's impossible. Maybe someone out there has sold every single deal they've had, every single opportunity they've had. They've never had someone tell them no. I guess it's possible. Anything's possible, but highly unlikely. So look, even if you close at 70%, right? Or if you close at 50%, you know that you've got to get a no before you get a yes, right? Or you're going to get the same number of no's as you get yeses, right? I mean, there are some metrics involved there. So with that said, success in sales, sales is a numbers game. You can increase your success exponentially by increasing your output, by increasing your numbers. That is a fact. Whatever your metrics are, I don't care what your close rate is. If your close rate is 5% or if your close rate is 75%, if you have more opportunities, you will sell more. You will close more. That's fact. Okay? So that is the part of sales is a numbers game that I agree with. Sales is a numbers game in the sense that you will, if you have more opportunities, you should close more. Period. Plain and simple, end of story. Here's the problem I have with it. It's discounting. The old mantra, sales is a numbers game, discounts what I believe is actually the most important part of sales, which is that it's also a skills game. Okay? So here's what I mean. If you don't take the time to advance your skills, to improve your skills, even if you're good, even if you have a lot of skills already, if you're really great at sales, if your close rate's through the roof, again, you could improve your skills. There is still room to grow. Always. There's always room to grow. I did a podcast about this before, not long ago. I talked about there is no such thing as good enough. Do not settle for good enough. I don't care how good you are. Never, ever settle. Don't stop. Never stop, right? Always improve. And so, again, I don't care how good you are. If you continue developing your skills, heck, learning new skills, right? You will be better at your job, period. That is also a fact. So, if you put those two together, right? It's a numbers game and a skills game, right? If I can put those two things together where, look, I'm willing to work a little bit harder or I find a way to become more efficient, right? There are several ways that you can increase the numbers side of things. And you can increase the skill side of things by investing in yourself a little bit. Or if you run a company or if you run a sales organization, look, invest in your people, invest in your salespeople, right? Give them an hour a week, give them 5 hours a week, 4 hours a week, whatever it is. Give them time, carve out time to make it a priority for them to learn and grow and get better. You'll be amazed that, look, take your close rate from, 20% to 30%. Boom, just like that. So the interesting thing about the skills side of things is skills as a lever, and this is, first of all, I want to go back to, let me back up for a second with the numbers game side of things and just saying there's only so many hours in the day, right? So unless you're able to find ways to significantly increase your efficiency, which you can do, you can get better at, carving out specific times to go through email, right? Don't get distracted by talking to coworkers or, non-revenue generating activities. The truth of the matter is I see this when I'm doing my, week or 2 week long assessments and consults at businesses. I see salespeople sitting on their phones, scrolling all the time, right? Those things aren't making you any money. So I have a little bit of a problem with someone saying, well, I can't get more opportunities, or I can't work any more hours or whatever. Look, first, why don't you take a look at what you're actually doing in the day? Figure out what it is you're actually spending your time on. Be honest about it, right? Make an honest assessment of where you're spending your time in the day and figure out with that, where could you become more efficient? What can you do to do more things that actually make you money? All right, so start there and master that numbers. You can master that numbers side of the equation, the numbers game side of things, by getting more efficient, right? You can also, of course, work harder, work longer hours. That's an option. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, hey, you need to be working weekends and you need to work, 12-hour days and all that. Like, I get it. There is a certain level of, hey, look, I get you have other things to do. Maybe you got a family. Maybe you got this or that. You got stuff going on. Absolutely. Big advocate for doing those things, outside of work. You need to have some you time as well. There are very important things outside of working. So do what you can to get as efficient as possible within your day as it is now, so you can master the numbers game side of things, right? The numbers game. How efficient can you get? How many at-bats can you give yourself, right? How many shots can you take in a day? Shots as in like basketball or hockey, okay? How many opportunities can you get? Once you've mastered that, once you've got this number side of things, this is where I have a lot of more seasoned salespeople coming to me saying, Josh, I can't do more than this. I can't work harder than I'm working now. I'm already working 10-hour days. I'm already working, 10, 12-hour days. My day is pretty efficient in the way that I'm, breaking up my time and I'm responding to emails and I'm on the phone and I'm, there's not a whole lot more I can do in terms of increasing my at-bats, increasing my opportunities. Okay. Now we talk about the skill side of things. And by the way, you should be doing both of these things in parallel. I'm not saying that you need to just get the numbers game thing figured out before you advance your skills. Heck, if anything, I would say that you need to get your skills, start working on your skills now. Start working on improving your skills immediately, regardless of where you're at. But so the cool thing about it, improving your skills, the thing that I love about this is why I'm so passionate about our pitchless selling training programs, right? Is because our programs are set up in a specific way to help you not only learn the foundation, the framework, the methodology of pitchless selling, and giving you an actual way to sell the right way, something that you can actually follow, right? You're not just shooting from the hip, right? It's not just a book. You read a book or two and go through a workbook and boom, now you know how to sell. No. We teach you a structure, a format to follow, but more importantly, we teach you why to do those things. So that way, when you're on your calls, when you're having these conversations with people, right? If you just learn scripts or you just memorize things or, you just maybe learn the theory behind stuff. If all you know is that theory or if all you know is that script, look, your sales conversations are inevitably going to go off the rails, right? It's going to go a different way than you had planned. So if you don't know why you've been taught to do those things or how to get things back on track, then you're going to be in trouble. You're going to be in a world of hurt. Right? And so that's one of the beauties of the pitchless selling programs, both level 1 and level 2 programs that we have. And so, the thing about, and one of the reasons I'm so passionate about the pitchless selling program is not only are you learning that framework and that methodology, but you're also getting ongoing skills training. And so regardless of us or our program or what we do and how we do it and those types of things, it's important for salespeople. That's what today's podcast is all about. You have to focus on and investing in yourself. Invest in yourself to improve your skills, whether it's with us or with someone else in some other way or however you decide to do it. I'm most passionate about you doing it. I want you to improve. I want you to get your skills at a level where it's just like, man, I am so far ahead of where I was a year ago at this time. I know so much more. I've learned so much more. What's next, right? How can I improve on this? Right? And we talk a lot about in our trainings, we talk about being a true professional and what it means to be a true professional. And there's this saying, it's a quote. It's been around for a long time, and it's been said in a lot of different ways by a lot of different people. But the message of the quote is sort of consistent, right? Where it says, "Amateurs practice until they get it right. Professionals practice until they can't get it wrong." Let me say it again. Amateurs practice until they get it right. Professionals practice until they can't get it wrong. I love that. I love that because it's this relentless improvement, right? It's this laser focus on you to never stop learning, growing, getting better. Okay? And the whole thought behind, being an amateur or being a professional, amateurs practice until they get it right. Professionals practice until they can't get it wrong. I love that. And so, going back to the whole skills game, the whole topic of this podcast, right? Sales is not just a numbers game. It is a numbers game, but it's not just a numbers game. It is a skills game. And so I'll give you one more example of this in case you don't believe me yet. Maybe I'll give you two. For those of you, look, if you followed me for any time, or if you've seen me in trainings, or if I've been to your company, I'm a sports guy. I love sports. I give some sports analogies. So I'm going to start with that, and then I'll give you a non-sports example as well, just in case you're not into sports. So if any of you follow the NBA or follow basketball, you may have heard of a player known as Shaq. Shaquille O'Neal is his name, and he's widely regarded as one of the best basketball players to ever live, one of the best centers to ever play the game. The guy was phenomenal. You give him the ball down low, if he gets the ball, he's going to score, right? I mean, he was almost unstoppable. He was a great rebounder. He's a guy could score from, he'd dunk on people. Layups were easy. He made easy work of people. Great player. Okay. By all accounts, guy's phenomenal. There was, however, one big hole in his game, which was free throws. And so again, for those of you who don't watch or like sports, a free throw is called a free throw for a reason. Okay. It's a free shot. He's not guarded. It's usually when a player gets fouled, especially fouled while they're shooting. They can go to the free throw line and they get a free shot. They usually get 2 or 3 depending on the foul, so on and so forth. We won't get into those details, but they get a free chance to make a basket, okay, because they were fouled. It's supposed to be a free throw, right? It's easier to make. And to give you some context, the league average in the year 2000 or 99-2000 season for made free throw percentage was in the mid to low 70s. 72, 74% was the league average for made free throws. Shaq, his made free throw percentage was 52% at that time. Okay. And I think maybe the league average was somewhere like 75, 77, something like that. So mid 70s, right? So Shaq is 25% worse at shooting free throws than the rest of the league. I mean, it was something he was well known. Everyone knew Shaq was not great at shooting free throws. People have, created memes about it and all this stuff, right? So what did teams start doing about it? Well, they created this thing called Hack-a-Shaq. It was a strategy where they would just foul him and make him shoot free throws rather than letting him get an easy dunk or an easy layup. They would rather have Shaq shooting an unguarded shot, a free throw, than have him take a shot while being guarded down low or, shooting a layup or whatever it is. Teams thought, you know what? We would rather give him the free throw than have a chance at him scoring. And you know what happened? It hurt his points. It hurt his points per game. He was scoring less because of this. Heck, he was so bad at shooting free throws that teams were starting to foul him when he didn't even have the ball, just so he would have to shoot a free throw. They were fouling him before his teammates would even pass him the ball, just so he would have to shoot a free throw, because they would rather do that than risk him scoring a basket in another way. So that points to, this is one of the greatest basketball players of all time, right? Guy was phenomenal. If it were just a numbers game, giving him all of those free throws and free throw opportunities would have been a horrible strategy. You would have scored a ton of points, way more points, right? Because you just free throw. The guy would be scoring a ton. But because that skill was lacking for him, he scored fewer points. Teams believed that ultimately they had a better chance of winning against Shaq or Shaq teams because he would score fewer points if they sent him to the free throw line more often. So that's a great example, I believe, of it's not just a numbers game, it is a skills game. Imagine if Shaq's free throw percentage were just average. We're just the league average. And he shot 20% higher, 25% higher, right? Imagine if you improved your sales skills to just be average, or improved your sales skills such that you could close 20% higher, increased your close rate by 20% more, or increased it by 25%, right? That is the importance of the skills game. I don't care how good you are right now. You can still improve. Imagine if you improve your skills so much that you improve your close rate 20, 25%, right? Any incremental increase in your close rate makes a difference, all right? So, again, I told you if you're not into sports, I'd give you a non-sports example. This one is a little bit of a stretch, but I think the same. It's a pretty easy example, easy analogy to draw. Imagine a surgeon, right? A brain surgeon going in, and brain surgeon doesn't have any training, hasn't ever worked on their skills. They don't really know how to navigate the brain or navigate the surgery, right? Well, that's not someone you just want just doing a bunch of surgeries, right? You don't just want, hey, it's okay, doc. Look, it's a numbers game. Just do a bunch of brain surgeries and you'll be good. You'll get good. It'll all work out. It'll be good. No, right? It's I told you it was a bit of a stretch example, but you get I know it's a little silly, but you get the point, right? You need to have some practice. You need to develop those skills. And sure, more repetition is one way, and I get this all the time from businesses. This is like one of the things I hear a lot from businesses when I'm talking about training, talking about our program and stuff is, they're talking about, well, yeah, we give, their sales calls are opportunities to improve their skills. They're going to get better by doing it. And so I get that. That is very true. However, you need to continue developing the skills outside of when you're actually doing it with a live sales call. So I will leave you with this. Sales is not just a numbers game. Sales is a skills game. If you want to be elite, if you want to be the best, if you want to be one of the best, if you want to make more money than you've ever made, if you want to be more successful than you've ever been before, master the numbers side of things, get as efficient and laser focused as you can at getting as many opportunities as possible, because you are going to get some no's, right? But more opportunities equals more sales, period, plain and simple, end of story. And then start developing those skills. Focus on getting better. Where can you get better? Where can you improve? Where can you learn new skills? All right. This is something we're really passionate about. It's something I'm really passionate about. And it's why our training programs exist, right? Sales skills development is critical. Without it, it's going to be hack-a-shack for you. So anyways, thank you so much for joining us. Listen, if you did enjoy the podcast today, if there's someone else you think could benefit from this message, I would appreciate you sharing it with somebody. Look, just one person. You don't have to share it with a ton of people, but even if you just share it with one person, it would really, really help us. So thank you so much for joining us today, and I cannot wait to catch you on the next one. We'll see you later.